I remember after my son died, I was out in front yard and a neighbor had walked by and walked up to me and he whispered in my ear, "We had one of those too." And I thought, why are you whispering? There's nobody out here, nobody around. But see, that's the stigma behind this thing. And so just take it out of the whisper. Let's shout it, in fact. Be bold, tell a story, ask questions, get out in front of the stigma, and because it is preventable, but it can't be prevented if we don't know about it and we're not talking. Big Monday night football game was my first start. We beat the Bears 48-17. But I went on as a starter for 6 years, and we went to the playoffs twice and won the division once, and I finished out my career after 10 years, and it was an amazing time in my life. But I was cut and changed hats, went into the insurance business, met my wife. We had 2 children, and started moving forward from there. The real struggle came though with my son when he died by suicide, and my family and my 2 daughters that were living here with us, and it was hard, and I didn't handle it very well. In fact, I kind of went off the deep end and just didn't want to live anymore, and I started drinking a lot and started basically taking anything I could get my hands on just to be numb. I eventually reached out and got help. And got some education at a place called the University of Michigan Depression Center. And that the word depression was never in my life before, but here it is. But I learned about it, and I learned there's treatment for it, and it had a name, and that changed everything. See, when my youngest daughter, who was 7 years old, and she was in the next room, and my son died, when she turned 15, all this trauma came back to her, and so she started struggling. But this time it was different. We were able to get her help. We were able to get her a therapist. She was assessed. And her life turned around, and now she's a trauma therapist, and she's seeing patients that's gone through the same thing that she went through. And so it's really fantastic. But the main thing is, it was the support of my family, my wife, my children, my oldest daughter that lives in Utah, that really gave me a reason to pull through and to survive. And that's really what it is when you go through something like this. It's called survival. But it's not just about surviving. This survive and thrive, and that's really what it's about, and getting your life back. The most important symptom, I think, is when somebody shows signs of helplessness, like hopelessness. And hopelessness is a terrible thing, because they feel if there's no hope, what are they going to do? And it's really hard to live that way. If you hear the words coming out of their mouth, "I don't want to live anymore," or "I can't go on like this," that means immediate action. That means get to the bottom of it right now. Okay, and if it means calling 911, if it means calling the 800 suicide hotline, then do that. But that can save a life. Don't let it go past that point. Suicide Prevention Month, September, brings a lot of attention to suicide prevention. But this is a year-round deal. This means, we have to be aware all the time. Be looking for these behaviors and these changes in someone. And part of the way we can do that, a great way to do that, is just by using connection and empathy. That means by connecting to someone, by looking them in the eyes, by feeling and listening to someone and observing their body, posture, their behaviors. Don't, just walk by people. If you say, "Hello, how you doing?" and they say, "Fine, cool." But if you feel something that's not, stop and ask them, "No, tell me how you're really feeling." Because that in itself just creates hope, and it can actually save a life.